Welcome to Module 1, Brand Archetypes, perhaps one of my most favourite things to talk about when it comes to building your brand, because I think they can have such a profound impact when we tap into archetypes. So what you'll learn in this module, first of all, we're going to touch on what are brand archetypes, how to use them to add personality and difference to your brand, and how to use archetypes to guide your brand's purpose. But first of all, I wanted to ask you, what is your favourite brand and why? So I want you to stop for a minute and just think about your favourite brand. How does your favourite brand speak to you? How does it reinforce your identity, align with your values, align with your personality, speak to you in a way that reflects something that you already know about yourself to be true back to yourself? Or maybe it's something that inspires you, or it's a brand that you aspire to be like. So I just want you to think about your favourite brand. Think about the words that come to mind when you think about it, the relationship you have, and why it means something to you. Because it's really important to do this when we think about brand archetypes. Because a brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or company. It's a gut feeling because we are all emotional, intuitive beings despite our best efforts to be rational. And this is a great quote by Marty Neumeier, who is a world famous brand strategist. Because I'm sure you've heard before, but 95% of our decisions are made in the subconscious. So we walk around thinking that we're making these decisions based on data and logic, but really, we buy based on gut feeling. We buy based on what is already stored in our subconscious. So I like to talk about archetypes as being the software for the soul. Archetypes have been around for a very, very long time, talked about in Greek philosophy often, but then popularized by Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist. So he identified these 12 different archetypes that reside within each of us. And essentially we have a little bit of each archetype within us, but we default to a primary and maybe a secondary archetype as our kind of default way of being, our default software, so to speak. And he said that we all have the same instinctive and intuitive understanding of behavioural patterns. So when we meet somebody who has the same, archetype as us, or has an archetype that we admire or aspire to be, we behave in a certain way and our subconscious is triggered in a certain way. Then moving on, I've got a really great book that I would recommend everyone go and download from or buy from Amazon, which is called The Hero and the Outlaw by Margaret Mark and Carol Pearson. So they actually were the first to talk about archetypes in relation to branding. They famously said that archetypes are the heartbeat of a brand. And you can really build an extraordinary brand through tapping into the power of your archetype. People often ask me what the difference is between a stereotype and an archetype. So I just thought I'd touch on that really briefly here. Stereotypes tend to be rooted in culture-specific norms that are really simplistic and undifferentiated. So we make assumptions and we put people into these categories based on their cultural background, potentially what they wear, how they speak. Archetypes are rooted in universal truths. So they are these, subconscious ways of being that are really rich and distinctive. So that's just a really easy way for you to kind of think about how they're not one-dimensional and it's not a stereotype for your brand. You can have the same archetype as someone else, but it's still very rich and distinctive and you can still apply it in different ways. So great brands make 5 intentional choices. And it's no mistake here that these 5 choices that I've put down are the 5 modules that you're going through in brand attraction. In my work over the past 17 years with brands, all brands that I have worked with have made really intentional choices around these 5 key areas. And when one of these is out of alignment, that's when things start to go wrong with your brand. So the first intentional choice is purpose. This is their enduring idea and their driving belief. The second is people, the people they have decided to serve. The third is packaging. So how are they experienced? And by package, I mean how you put together everything within your brand. So whether you're a product or a service-based business, how you pull that together and package that together into an experience that your customer can tangibly touch and feel. The fourth is your powerful message, so the stories that your brand tells and how your brand communicates. And the five is presence, so how a brand delivers upon their experience. So that could be everything from customer service through to your social media, your platforms that you're experienced on. I wanted to give you a couple of great examples here. So first of all, Apple. Their purpose is thinking differently, and they play really heavily into the archetype of the alchemist. So the alchemist is about transformation and innovation and doing things differently. So the people that they are here to serve, they like to call the contrarians. So people who want to do things differently, people who want to challenge the status quo, who want to push boundaries and want to innovate. Their brand positioning, their difference is really through that people-led experience. And their presence, how they are experienced, is through the design of those products that we hold in our hands. Through the customer experience, like when you go into an Apple store, the experience is totally different to any other store. I mean, many other retail outlets started to model that experience, but they've become really known for the way that they deliver upon their brand. The second one is Disney. So they call upon the archetype of the innocent, and their purpose is around bringing magic to everyone. They serve the child in all of us. So not just kids. They don't say we are a brand for kids. They really talk about how there is a child within each of us. How we all want to get back that innocence and magic of when we were young. So their positioning and their difference is around how they bring that to life through storytelling. And they are experienced through their movies, through their TV shows, and through their theme parks. So you'll notice that, everything they do at every touch point is about bringing that little bit of magic into our everyday. So let's now talk about the 12 archetypes and the quadrants that they sit in. So you'll notice in the brand archetype report, when you've taken the quiz and you look in your report, that there's 4 kind of main quadrants. There's the leader, the mentor, the facilitator, and the connector. So your archetype of the creator, the queen, and the caregiver fits into the leader. These archetypes are really about leading and influencing. So caregivers, a lot of people question this one. They'll be like, oh, but I'm about nurturing and protecting. But nurturing and protecting is leading people to change. You might be a wellness brand in here. Creator brands are very much about leading the world through creating something different or something of beauty. And the queen or the king archetype is very much about greatness, about influence. It's got a regal feel to it, about helping people achieve affluence and helping people achieve significance. The mentor archetypes are the explorer, the sage, and the innocent. So the explorer is all around helping people experience freedom and adventure. And that doesn't have to be in the traditional sense of travel, but it's about helping people understand and unlock the truth within themselves and experience something different. The facilitator archetypes are the warrior, renegade, and alchemist. And these are about facilitating change. You'll notice here that the renegade or the rebel really stands up against the status quo. They're here to make change. The alchemist, as I touched on with Apple, is about innovating and creating change. And the warrior is about getting results. So helping people. If you are a warrior archetype, it's very likely that your brand exists to help people get the results they want. So Nike fits into this archetype. The connector archetypes are the jester, the lover, and the girl next door. So very much about bringing a sense of belonging to people. So the girl next door is very down to earth. The lover is about intimacy and connection, and the jester is about joy and fun. So all around connection. So you may find that you have an archetype. Your primary archetype and your secondary are in opposing quadrants, and that is totally fine. It's how you bring them to life, and I'm going to give you an example of what we do here. A really easy way to think about this is your primary archetype is like the anthem. It's your hit song. It's your one big anthem for your brand. And the secondary archetype is the maestro. It's the texture behind your brand. So you bring that in to add texture to your brand. So here's a few examples of archetype blends. Maybe you're the creator and the rebel. So you could be the creative rebel. Maybe you have a touch of the explorer and the alchemist. So you're seeking change. The seeker is the explorer and the alchemist about change. Or the explorer and the warrior, who is about, crusading your way to freedom. Alchemist and the warrior is, a complete change catalyst. So think about when you combine your archetypes, what kind of words come to mind? There are words in those reports that will help you, but just think about how that might come together to really give you a position for your brand that is different. And when you think about your archetype, there's different areas that make up your archetype. There's your superpowers, your shadow, your voice, your core desire, your values, and your personality. And I touch on those in the archetype report. So have a read through and have a think. But right now I wanted to touch a little bit more on the core desire, because when we move into the next video, we talk about vision, mission, and values. And this will really help you in terms of shaping that vision around your brand. The purpose behind your brand. So the caregiver. The core desire of the caregiver is to protect and care for others or the world. So if this is your archetype, then that will really shape the purpose behind your brand and the vision for your brand. The sage is around improving oneself through knowledge and growing. So maybe you're imparting knowledge onto other people and helping them grow. The jester is about bringing fun into the everyday, so joy and spontaneity, really helping people find that fun again. And if this is your brand, then, you're probably very light-hearted and, you can have this archetype even if you talk about something serious. So one of the members in the brand attraction group is an occupational therapist, and she, is talking about helping kids with, different difficulties, but she brings fun into each of those areas. She's got a real jester archetype, which helps her brand stand apart from other brands who may take the subject matter quite seriously and maybe have more of that sage archetype, which is about knowledge. She brings something fun to a subject that, most people can find quite serious. The queen is helping others become leaders. So you are a natural leader yourself. You have an air of authority and an air of influence, and you help others become leaders. The creator is about helping others create and solve problems with innovative and creative thinking, or creating things of beauty to make difference to people's lives. The warrior is about making your mark, helping people achieve and get results. So very likely that you might be a coach in this area, a performance coach, a life coach, anything that helps people achieve results. The renegade, about breaking away from convention, showing people how things can be done differently. You don't have to do the same. You don't have to do the 9 to 5. You don't have to fit into the mold. You can do things your way, giving people that permission. The alchemist, providing transformation and change, a really powerful archetype. Again, if you're in a service-based business and you're helping deliver transformation through the work that you do, this is a really powerful archetype to pull upon. The innocent, creating harmony and simplicity. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be pulling on that childlike energy, but it does mean that you might be bringing simplicity and ease and harmony to people's lives. When they're complicated and busy and overwhelmed, your brand might exist to be that simplicity that they're seeking. The explorer is experiencing all life has to offer and helping people understand themselves and feed their soul. The lover is about that connection, love, joy, and intimacy. So I hope that's given you an insight into archetypes and how to use them in your brand. What I'd really love you to do now is make sure you've taken that archetype quiz, get really cozy with your archetype, start module 1, your vision, mission, and values, and look at how you can infuse your archetype into your brand. please pop into the group. Tell us your archetype blend. Let's jam and chat about how that might come to life for you, how it looks in your current brand, and how it might be in, your brand and your packages and who you're speaking to in the future. So go into the group, share it with us, and let's talk about it, and I will see you in the next video.